quite a week in an issue that I know you've been working on for several years, which is some type of reasonable gun control in this country. I want to start with a video that has been put out by. It's interesting because we're now seeing sort of this issue no longer being one that is being skirted, but is actually now, I think, like a lot of issues over the past couple of years that were where liberals were on their heels about, is now sort of people are leaning forward a little more into this. This is an ad that was put out by Stop Gun Violence. We should say this, this has been quite a week for ads by different entities fighting out this battle here. But this one is from Stop Gun Violence, and it is aimed at John Barrow, a Democratic congressman from Georgia's 12th district.
Although you may want to put Democratic in quotes, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what he runs on. He's one of those old sort of Dixiecrat, well, I don't know about Dixiecrat is the proper term, but he's a blue dog. Perhaps.
Sorry, I didn't say that. I never said that.
All right, so let's hear this ad.
I'm John Barrow.
Breaking news now. There's been a shooting at a school.
And long before I was born,
20 children
targeted.
My grandfather used this little Smith & Wesson here.
Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
And for as long as I can remember, my father always had this rifle real handy.
Someone shooting in the building.
He came in, we are told, with at least 3 weapons.
Multiple weapons, and begins a massacre.
This is so horrible.
And that's why I'm proud to be endorsed by the NRA.
Our founding fathers understood that the guys with the guns make the rules.
I approve this message because these are my guns now. And ain't nobody gonna take them away.
Emily Parker. Dawn
Hoxbrough. Catherine Hubbard, 6 years old.
7-year-old Anna Marquez Green.
Chase Kowalski, 7 years old.
Mary Sherlock.
Jesse Lewis, 6 years old.
Jack Pinto.
Years old.
Mary Sherlock.
Jesse
That's an
Lewis.
incredibly powerful ad. I mean, had I just seen that Barrow ad in and of itself, I mean, what it does is it intersperses, obviously, footage from the wake of different gun tragedies that have taken place in this country, with Barrow sort of in a very macho fashion, holding up his guns, cocking them, and it really, I think if I had seen that Barrow ad in and of itself, it would have been enough to sort of push me over the edge. But what's going on here with this ad?
Well, what you've got is you've got a guy who put on, and a Democrat. Ironically, probably, I'd say he had one of the 3 or 4 most offensive ads, I would call it, the last election cycle. And I remember it from when it came out in its entirety. You remember Joe Manchin had an ad too, where he had a rifle and was shooting the EPA, the potential bill to have cap and trade. But Manchin at least has come out to whatever credit we can give him, and so far has said he's open to some of the things President Obama is talking about. John Barrow put out that ad. And again, let's be clear about John Barrow's ad. He's not just being a macho gun guy. He is playing into the far-right militia anti-government culture. Here is a congressman, a member of the government, who's saying, ain't nobody going to take these guns away, as if somebody is coming to his house, implying that the federal government is coming in somehow, and he is the federal government, so I suppose, is that him walking into his own house? I'm not sure. But it's the federal government coming in and taking away what he shows in the commercial, which are a handgun and a rifle, which, no one's talking about taking those away from law-abiding citizens. So the whole thing is based on a farce, and it's based on he's basically trucking in anti-government extremism. So you start off with that, and then you add to that the fact that as soon as President Obama made his proposal the other day, he came out and he called the proposal divisive and said that no measures to pass gun laws, would do anything about this, because he's smarter than people at, let's say, the University of Pennsylvania School of Epidemiology and Emory School of Medicine and places that have actually done studies on this. But John Barrow, in his own brilliant head, has figured out he knows more than them. So to be clear, I'm not involved with this. I've sent it around to the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. Put this together. They're the ones who, about a week and a half ago, put out ads up in North Dakota and in Washington, D.C. when Heidi Heitkamp came out and said that President Obama's the newly elected senator from North Dakota, a Democrat, that President Obama's ideas sounded extreme, and they slammed her for it and told her the same thing they said to John Barrow here, which is shame on you, and shamed her, and she actually backed off a little bit of her stance. Barrow is a guy that has an A+ rating from the NRA. He's taken the most money of any Democrat in the House from the NRA, and he won't switch his vote. But he's in a heavily Republican district. He basically votes for Republicans most of the time anyhow, is rarely with us on anything. Any of the issues you and I discuss on this show, I promise you, from Social Security to Medicare to guns to abortion rights to gay rights, he's on the other side. And so I think, it's people on our side making a decision, which is there's not going to be any accountability. Lad Everett, the spokesman for the group, went on Rachel Maddow's show a week ago after the Heidi Heitkamp ads and said the era of no accountability for Democrats on this issue is over, and I feel exactly the same way, which is, the conservatives have their Tea Party. Granted, I think the Tea Party is crazy and what they stand for is nuts, but they make demands and they primary people. Well, those of us on the left who've watched people, who call themselves Democrats try to sell out Social Security, try to sell out, have consistently sold out on gun violence, selling out on choice with the Stupak Amendment and things like that, need to know that we're going to come and we're going to make them eat those remarks. And we're going to remind people when they put on extreme anti-government ads. And so I'm proud of CSGB for doing this. Very proud of them. And happy to show that ad to anybody who's willing to watch it. And, well, a lot of people apparently have watched it, considering that I've seen it at Talking Points Memo and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Business Insider and a bunch of other major places, Crooks and Liars and America Blog and others. So, and now on exclusively on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, where traffic will go through the roof after that.
Indeed, and we've got that posted up at majority.fm. I hope YouTube servers can handle it. But
no, I mean, seriously, though, and this is important. This is important because, again, I think this sets a marker on this issue, but I think it sets a marker on other issues. Most of these blue dogs have lost either to more progressive Democrats. We've gotten a few of those cases. We had 2 or 3 of those cases in 2012 where progressive Democrats in the House took on blue dogs. I think of Joe Baca, I think of Holden from Pennsylvania and others, and beat them and ended up winning their elections. But, at some point you need to show that if you're someone like John Barrow and you literally are going to repeat all the other side's talking points, help push their goals, be terrible on issue after issue after issue, you know what? We don't need you any longer. I mean, and I'm not saying I want to get rid of Democrats, and I'm not saying that I don't have understand nuance, which I do. There are people that will disagree with me on some issues, and in most cases I will accept that. But when you're someone who's really terrible on some core issues and really terrible on everything, then you know what? You need to hear about it. And I don't think sitting around and being scared, a Republican might win, that doesn't do us any good. Yeah. He needs to be reminded of these things. And if he doesn't change, then he may just lose his seat. And you know what? That's his problem.